Have you ever wondered why sometimes life feels colorless, like the spark has been drained from everything around you? The food doesn't taste the same, the music doesn't stir you, the conversations feel empty, and the days pass without a sense of excitement. You wake up, you go through the motions, but deep inside there's a quiet voice asking, "What happened to me? Why have I lost interest in everything?" It feels like a fog that settles in, not because life itself has lost its beauty, but because your vision has become blurred. The world hasn't changed as much as your perspective has shifted. What once looked vivid now seems dull. Not because it is dull, but because you've stopped looking with the same eyes of possibility and purpose. Life never really loses its flavor. People do. The child in you once found joy in the smallest things, puddles after the rain, the sound of laughter, the adventure of a new toy, or a simple discovery. But somewhere along the way, as responsibilities grew heavier and disappointments piled up, that natural spark dimmed. When you lose interest, it is not a sign that the world has grown boring. It is a signal that your vision of what's ahead has clouded. You stop seeing possibilities, so naturally everything feels repetitive. The truth is, interest comes from clarity. Imagine driving a car with a windshield smeared with dirt. You can't see the road, the scenery looks dull, and the journey feels frustrating. But once the windshield is clean, suddenly the same road looks brighter, the view becomes captivating, and you feel the excitement of traveling again. The same principle applies to life. When your vision is blurred by confusion, aimlessness, or lack of goals, you naturally lose interest in the journey. But if you wipe the glass clean and see where you're going, suddenly life regains its brightness. Interest in life is built on direction. Without direction, days blend into weeks, weeks into months, and you begin to ask yourself, what's the point? That is why the first step to regaining interest is not searching for entertainment, distraction, or temporary thrills. It is rebuilding a vision of where you want to go. Goals have a way of igniting the fire again. Even a small goal, like deciding to improve one habit, gives you a sense of purpose that makes the day feel meaningful. Think about it. When you were excited about something in the past, it wasn't because life handed you more hours or less struggle. It was because you had something in your heart pulling you forward. That's the power of vision. Without it, even the most beautiful moments feel empty. With it, even ordinary days feel extraordinary. So when you feel that disinterest creeping in, don't look outward for the cure. Don't blame the people around you, the city you live in, or the routine of your days. Look inward and ask, what am I aiming for? What am I working toward? Because when your eyes can see a compelling future, your heart naturally wakes up with interest again. Now think about the second truth. Interest is created by goals. Without goals, even the sunshine feels dim. Have you noticed how the same morning sun can mean two very different things? To someone without goals, it's just another sunrise, another day to kill, another stretch of hours to endure. But to someone with a goal, the sunrise is a signal. It's time to move, time to take one more step towards something exciting. The sun hasn't changed, but the meaning behind it has. Goals breathe life into your days. They act like magnets pulling your energy forward. When you have a goal, the smallest tasks feel purposeful. The walk to work, the late night study session, the extra hour of effort, all of it carries meaning because it contributes to something bigger. Without a goal, the same activities feel like burdens. Suddenly life feels heavy, empty, and uninteresting. This is why people who lack goals often complain of boredom, while those with goals are filled with energy. The difference isn't in the hours of the day, it's in the intention behind them. You could take two people, put them in the same environment, give them the same resources, and you'll see two completely different experiences. The one with no goal drifts, complains, and loses interest. The one with a goal finds excitement, energy, and motivation in the very same circumstances. But here's the challenge. Most people stop setting goals when life knocks them down. They've tried before, failed, and convinced themselves that goals don't work. Or they set goals so small that they don't inspire them. A goal should pull you out of bed in the morning, not let you sleep in. It should be big enough to make you stretch, but clear enough to make you act. Without it, even beautiful days lose their shine. If you've lost interest in everything, perhaps it's because you're not aiming at anything. Goals are what transform ordinary days into extraordinary journeys. They give you reasons to fight, reasons to smile, reasons to push through when nothing seems to make sense. Without them, even victories feel empty and even pleasures feel meaningless. The key is not to start with massive goals that overwhelm you. Start small but significant. Set a goal to improve one part of your life, your health, your learning, your finances, or your relationships. That small step brings back the spark because suddenly your days have direction. And as you progress, your goals will grow, and so will your interest in living. Think about this. If you're bored with your life, it's not because there's nothing exciting left to see. It's because you've stopped giving yourself something exciting to chase. A ship without a destination drifts endlessly on the ocean, while a ship with a clear course feels every wave, every sunrise, every mile as part of an adventure. Life works the same way. So ask yourself, what goal will make tomorrow worth waking up for? What vision will clear your blurred perspective? Because once you have an answer, you'll see that interest isn't something you find, it's something you build. And once you build it, life regains its color, its excitement, and its meaning again. Have you ever caught yourself scrolling endlessly, flipping channels, or staring blankly at the clock, wondering why nothing excites you anymore? It's as if life has become a dull routine, and no matter what you try, movies, music, social media, even vacations, it only gives you a temporary distraction, not a lasting spark. That's because the cure for boredom isn't entertainment, it's purpose. Entertainment can fill your time, but only purpose can fill your soul. When you're living without a sense of purpose, the world feels like a constant loop. Days come, nights fall, and everything in between seems repetitive. You don't lack activities, you lack meaning. Purpose is the compass of life. Without it, you wander. With it, you march. A person with purpose can wake up at 5 a.m. with energy, not because they slept better, but because they know what they're waking up for. On the other hand, a person without purpose can sleep 10 hours and still feel drained because the weight of aimlessness is heavier than any physical load. Think about the moments when you felt most alive in the past. It wasn't when you were binge watching a show or idling away in comfort. It was when you were chasing something bigger, something meaningful, something that stretched you beyond your comfort zone. That's what purpose does. It electrifies your existence. Without it, life feels dull, no matter how much entertainment you consume. Boredom isn't a lack of things to do, it's a lack of things that matter. You can keep filling your time with distractions, but the emptiness will return the moment the distraction fades. Entertainment numbs you for a moment, but purpose wakes you for a lifetime. So how do you find purpose? Start by asking, what makes me come alive? What problem in the world makes me angry enough to want to change it? What gift inside me deserves to be shared? Your purpose doesn't have to be a grand mission known to millions. Sometimes it's as simple as raising a family with love, building a small business with integrity, or committing to your personal growth so you can become an example for others. Purpose is personal, not public. It doesn't matter how big or small. It only matters that it matters to you. Once you anchor yourself in purpose, the fog of boredom lifts. Suddenly, every day carries meaning. Even the ordinary becomes extraordinary. A conversation feels deeper, a task feels lighter, and a sacrifice feels worth it. That's because purpose transforms pain into progress and monotony into momentum. Now let's take this even further. Energy follows interest, and interest follows ambition. People often say they lack energy, but the real issue is they lack ambition. Look at someone working toward a dream. Have you noticed how they seem to generate energy out of nowhere? They stay up late, wake up early, and push through fatigue with a smile. Why? Because their ambition fuels them. On the other hand, someone with no ambition struggles to get out of bed. The body isn't weak, the spirit is. Energy is not just physical, it's emotional. When you're interested, when you're passionate, when you're chasing something exciting, you find reservoirs of energy you never knew existed. That's why a child can play for hours without tiring. The interest keeps fueling the body. As adults, we often say we're burned out, but in reality, we're not burned out from doing too much. We're burned out from doing too little of what matters. Ambition is the spark that lights the fire of interest. Without ambition, you drift. With ambition, you drive. A person with ambition doesn't wait for life to hand them opportunities. They create them. They look at challenges and see stepping stones. They look at setbacks and see lessons. And because of that mindset, their interest in life keeps growing. Think about someone training for a marathon. They wake up earlier, push their body harder, and endure pain most people would avoid. But they don't feel drained. They feel alive. Why? Because their ambition has given them a reason to endure. Energy flows where ambition goes. The opposite is also true. Without ambition, even simple tasks feel exhausting. Washing the dishes feels heavy, working a job feels unbearable, and facing a new day feels like a burden. That's not a lack of strength, it's a lack of purpose-driven ambition. So how do you build ambition when you've lost it? Start by daring to dream again. Ask yourself, if nothing were holding me back, no fear, no doubt, no limitations, what would I want to achieve? So write it down. Even if it feels impossible, put it on paper. That's how ambition begins, not with certainty, but with vision. Then feed your ambition daily. Read books that inspire you. Surround yourself with people who challenge you. Take small steps toward the vision and celebrate progress. Momentum builds interest, and interest fuels energy. Before long, you'll notice that you're not forcing yourself to get up early. You want to. You're not dragging yourself through the day. You're running through it with a spark. Ambition is not about greed or ego. It's about growth. It's about stretching yourself beyond mediocrity and giving life the best version of you. When you hop, ambition, interest follows naturally. And when interest is alive, energy flows endlessly. So remember, the cure for boredom isn't entertainment, it's purpose. And once you align with your purpose, have you ever noticed how quickly life loses its color when you stop dreaming? You wake up, follow the routine, meet the obligations, and at the end of the day, you feel like nothing meaningful happened. The days pass, the months slip by, and you begin to wonder why everything feels so heavy and uninspiring. That's because a man without a dream quickly loses taste for living. Dreams are not just fantasies, they are fuel. They give your soul something to reach for, something to hold on to when the present feels empty. Without them, the days blur into each other, and even small joys lose their sweetness. Think about a child again. They're always dreaming of being an astronaut, a singer, a doctor, or a superhero. Their eyes light up because they're connected to a vision of something bigger. That dream gives them excitement, even if they don't know how it will happen. Somewhere along the way, many of us stop dreaming. We trade impossibility for practicality. We silence our imagination with phrases like, "be realistic," or "I'm too old for that." And as soon as the dream dies, the joy of living dies with it. A dream is not about achieving something grand tomorrow. It's about having a reason to keep moving today. A dream is the seed, and without a seed, nothing grows. When you stop planting dreams in your heart, life becomes a barren field, empty, lifeless, and hopeless. But when you dare to dream again, even in the smallest way, life begins to sprout new excitement. Dreams don't have to be massive to be meaningful. Maybe your dream is to learn a new skill, to travel to a place you've always longed to see, to build financial freedom for your family, or to simply become the best version of yourself. Whatever it is, it must be personal, something that stirs you deep inside. Because when you have a dream, your heart beats differently. You walk with a sense of expectation. You seat with purpose, and even your struggles feel lighter because they're connected to a bigger picture. Without a dream, challenges crush you because there's nothing pulling you forward. But with a dream, challenges sharpen you. Obstacles become part of the story, not the end of it. And every day you live with that dream in mind, life regains its taste. The colors come back, the sounds feel richer, and the smallest victories feel like triumphs. So if you feel like you've lost interest in everything, maybe what you've really lost is your dream. Sit down, reflect. Ask yourself, what do I truly want? If I had no limits, what would I chase? What vision would make me excited to wake up tomorrow? Write it down, feed it daily, and protect it, because that dream might just be the very thing that saves you from drifting through life. Now let's connect this to the next truth. Progress is the greatest motivator. Stagnation is the silent killer of interest. Have you ever been stuck in the same place for too long? The same job, the same routine, the same results? It doesn't matter if things are comfortable. Eventually, comfort turns into a cage. And when you're not growing, when you're not making progress, you slowly begin to lose interest in everything. Progress doesn't have to mean radical change overnight. It simply means movement. Forward, upward, better than yesterday. When you see yourself improving even in small ways, it lights a fire inside you. That's why learning a new skill, getting healthier, or even reading a book can make you feel alive again. Progress whispers, "I'm becoming more." and that whisper is enough to keep you motivated. Stagnation, on the other hand, is deceptive. At first, it feels safe. It feels comfortable to stay where you are, do what you know, and avoid the risk of change. But slowly, without realizing it, you start to feel restless. You start to feel dull. Days feel longer. Energy feels lower, and your spirit starts to wither. Stagnation doesn't shout. It creeps. Look at the people who seem excited about life. They're not necessarily the richest or the luckiest. They're the ones who are making progress. They're moving forward, learning, growing, achieving, even if in small ways. And because of that, their days feel meaningful. Contrast that with someone who has stopped growing. Even if they have more resources, more comfort, or more free time, they feel less alive. The difference isn't in what they have, it's in their movement. Progress keeps your heart engaged, while stagnation silently suffocates it. So how do you break free from stagnation? Start small. Pick one area of your life, your health, your relationships, your finances, your knowledge, and set a measurable goal, something you can track. Maybe it's reading 10 pages of a book every day, walking a mile, saving a small percentage of your income, or learning a new word in a different language. These may seem tiny, but the magic of progress is that it compounds. Small victories create momentum, and momentum creates motivation. Have you ever cleaned just one corner of a messy room and suddenly felt inspired to clean the whole house? That's progress. Once you move in one direction, the energy carries you further than you thought possible, and every step forward reignites your interest in life. Progress reminds you that you're not stuck, that you're capable of more, that life isn't over yet. It gives you evidence that tomorrow can be better than today. Without progress, every day feels the same. With progress, every day feels like a new chapter. So when you feel disinterested in everything, don't ask life to give you more excitement. Ask yourself where you can make progress. Because once you start growing again, even in the smallest ways, you'll rediscover the spark. Dreams keep you alive. Progress keeps you moving. Lose either, and life loses its flavor. But if you nurt, you're both. You'll never run out of reasons to wake up with interest, energy, and joy. Have you ever wondered why some days feel so heavy that even getting out of bed feels like a burden? It's not that life has lost all its beauty, but when you don't design a future to look forward to, the present will always feel empty. Think about it. When you had a vacation planned, a big event on the horizon, or even something small like meeting a friend you hadn't seen in a while, didn't those days leading up to it feel different? You walked lighter, you smiled more, and the challenges of the day felt easier to carry because you were looking forward to something. That anticipation gave the present a sense of meaning. But when you have no future pulling you forward, today feels like a loop that doesn't end. A future worth living for doesn't arrive by accident. It's designed. People who live with excitement aren't necessarily luckier than you. They just took the time to sit down and craft a vision for themselves. They've painted a picture of tomorrow that inspires them today. Without that picture, you can't help but feel empty. Imagine a painter staring at a blank canvas day after day. Eventually, he loses interest because he has nothing to bring to life. But once he sketches even a rough outline, suddenly the energy to paint comes back. Life works the same way. When you don't design your future, you end up living in default. You get pulled into routines, distractions, and other people's agendas. You wake up, do what you must, and go to bed only to repeat the cycle. But when you intentionally create a vision, when you decide what you want your health to look like, what kind of relationships you want, what goals you want to achieve, and what experiences you want to have, you give yourself something to chase. That chase is what fills the present with passion